Perhaps it's just me, but does every simple job have to take a long time? A while ago I did a video on the DCC-EX command station showing how you could build one quite simply with an Arduino board or a Mega 3 clone plus a Arduino Motor Shield and with a Wi-Fi shield on top. The only drawback to the construction or the command station at the time was that on the Motor Shield you had to cut the power links so that the Motor Shield didn't charge up the Arduino because it would take too much power, so you ended up with having to have two power supplies, one for the Arduino and one for the Motor Shield. So that was all very well, it worked very nicely. DCC-EX software is readily available, it's open source and seems to work well, and what I did was use the command station connected to a laptop running JMRI so that I could control my locos and things. Of course, there are lots and lots of other controllers out there, all very good, but this for me was a good inexpensive solution to start with as I got back into trains and model railways and things. It cost me in total probably around about the £45 to make the command station, the bits, and putting it together was, as I said, straightforward. Again, lots of information on the DCC-EX.com website and very easy to follow. So what I wanted to do with this video is do a simple follow-up to that, because we now have a new Motor Shield, and basically it is this. Well, that was the postman ringing the doorbell, I suppose, at this time of year, as we said. What I was talking about is I was going to do a little video showing how there's been an update to the Motor Shield that you can use with the DCC-EX command station. And basically, it's this. It's ESP8874, and it is made in conjunction with the DCC-EX guys. And the main advantage of it is it's been designed so that you just need one power supply, which would go into this jack there. It can drive the Arduino with the right current and voltage and things, and it can control your track so it can send out the right voltage, etc. there. So there's no cutting of links to prevent the power going the wrong way, and it is a case just of simply, as before, just putting it on top of the Arduino, loading the Arduino with software, telling it this is the board you have. So I was going to do that. I was going to show you that simply, but what I found was when I put on my Makerfabs Wi-Fi Shield, built the whole thing, I couldn't actually talk to the command station. Doing a bit of digging, especially again on the DCC-EX website, I found the problem is the firmware on this is wrong. It doesn't work with the DCC-EX software. And so it's a simple case, you'd have thought, of updating this. But no, it's not a simple thing to do. I've done quite a bit of searching on the web. I'm at the point where I'm ready to give it a go, and I will film that. But in the meantime, I'll just show you the what I've done with this, because of course what you can do if you've got an Arduino, so you've got an Arduino board, this will sit nicely on top there, and it just plugs in. There's get it the right way around. Yeah, it just goes in like this. So as long as you get the pins lined up, there is no. Yeah, it did. I was going to say here's again my simple job, not hard to do. But get the pins all lined up properly, both sides, and then just. So that's all you have to do to make a DCC-EX command station. It's just, there we go. The Arduino board, DCC-EX 8874 motor driver. Now, I would normally then put the Wi-Fi shield on top and load the software down have it set up as an access point so I can access it either from a mobile device or from my laptop. But as I said, this Motor Shield doesn't have the right firmware and it doesn't work. So what happens is when I do that, when I power everything up, I find that I just cannot connect to the Wi-Fi on the command station. So that is a job to do. However, what we have here with the Motor Shield and the Arduino is something we can actually connect to via the serial port, so I can use this still as a controller. I don't need the Wi-Fi bit. So the following is just a very short update capturing screenshots as I put the software into that. So to run or to load the software onto the command station, it is fairly straightforward. There is, again, available on the DCC-EX website an EX-installer app which you can download, and there's one for Windows, there's one for Linux, and there's one for the Mac. So the first thing to do, you have to move or go to the folder where you have stored that application, and in my case it's in a folder I've got under my docs, and the application, if I do an ls, you'll see it there. So the application is there. It's this one here, the EX installer Mac OS. Now when you first download it, if you try and run it, you'll find that Mac will tell you, oh, it's insecure, etc. So the first thing you have to do is just change it so that it can actually run under the Mac. Then having done that, again, just running it from the terminal, we can just run it and it will power up the app itself. It sometimes is a little bit slow, and there we go. So you then have the EX installer. So the first thing you do is you click on go to manage Arduino, because it's now I've already downloaded Arduino, all the CLI stuff, but I mean I can refresh it just to make sure I've got everything I need. It'll go through that. If you haven't got it already, it would download it all and install it for you. So then you can select your device. Now I haven't got the device connected yet, so I will connect my Arduino board with the Motor Shield on top into the serial on device, and then I will again refresh the list, and you'll see there it is. There's the Arduino Mega. So I select that, and then I go to select what I want to install. Now in this case I want to install the DX command station, so I select that. The next thing is you go to configure. Now this doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I won't do that. Thank you. Just had a cup of tea delivered, which is always nice. So there we go. So I said, because I haven't got the Wi-Fi shield on my board, I'm not going to select any of these options. So the first thing that I need to do is I go to here and I want to select what's the shield I've got. In this case it's the 8874. So I do that, and then we do compile and load. Now you'll notice I went and I've clicked on compile and load and nothing's happening. I've noticed this does happen with my Mac anyway. If I just open the window, move the window a smidgen and then go, it moves on to the next screen. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but anyway. So having got it, then I can then do load. It will compile the EX command station and download it. You'll see some words and some information on the storage that's been taken and that side of things. And then once it's done that, you let it run, and you have, there we are, congratulations, it's done. So that's all you have to do. So there we are. That's a very short introduction of putting the Arduino and the DCC-EX EX8874 boards together, loading the software, straightforward. That now is a command station that I can use over the serial link. I could run up JMRI, I can connect to it through the serial, and then I can switch the power on, I can control locos, etc. Very straightforward, nice and easy to use. Now, as I said, I prefer to be able to access my command station from Wi-Fi, but with the Makerfabs board. At the moment it's got the wrong firmware on it, or at least the firmware causes problems, so I need to take it back to one of the previous firmware loads, and to do that is a little bit fiddly, and I'm not going to be able to use my Mac for that. I'm going to have to use a PC, but we'll give that a go and move on to that, and I'll show you how I had to do it. So what are we going to need to update the firmware on our Makerfabs board? Basically, obviously, we need the board itself. We need 4 female-to-female connectors, jumper connectors. We need 1 male-to-male connector. And we also need a USB to TTL adapter. So those are all things that I got the TTL adapter plus the female jumper leads from Amazon. They're readily available. And obviously these male-to-male jumpers, I had those already. And the Makerfabs I've had for a while. So the first thing to do is we're going to have to get a flash download tool, and we're going to have to get the firmware file from DCC-EX. So again, there's a DCC-EX website where all this is available. So I haven't got the necessary bits: the Makerfab board, the cabling, and the adapter. We've got to put them together. Now it's probably going to be easier if you go to follow the link in the DCC-EX website. But basically what we've got is we've got the TX and RX from there down to the TX and RX on the adapter there. So we've basically got the TX and the RX from there coming down to the adapter. We've then got that there is the 5 volt, and it goes through, and it's gone through, and I've put it onto the 5 volt on the underside of the board. And then that's the green wire here goes through from the adapter, from the ground to the ground underneath on the board. So that's the sort of 4 wires from the adapter through to the board. I've also then put in this, this is actually my male to male, so I've connected on the top, that is also to ground. Again, you can, if you look on there, you will see the words, that's ground. And what we're going to do when we're going to do this, when we're going to load it, what we've got to do is ground pin 4 along here. So that means we've got to connect, touch that to the pin 4 there. And we've got to be doing that and holding that in place when we plug this in, when we plug our adapter into the computer. So it's a little bit fiddly. I mean, what I found was if I used my left hand to hold the device, you count up the 1, 2, 3, 4. So just hold the pin. So just hold it on there. I can then pin, and then I can then plug this into the PC, and we're all set. Now you've got to keep that pin grounded all the time you're doing this. So you do that in, you run the application as I showed earlier, or as I will show. And then you can make sure if this pin gets detached at all during the process, you just got to start again, sort of unplug, plug in and things. One thing I'd also say is I did initially, when I cabled up, I connected this 5 volt to the ground rather than to the 5 volt there, so it meant that the board very quickly overheated and I was burning my fingers. Unfortunately, it said you may not be able to see it, or you may be able to see it. There's a bit of melted plastic there, so do get these wires right, do follow them through. Having done that, that board is now, once you've run the program, that board will be updated, and hopefully we'll have the right version of firmware on it that will work with our command station. So the next step is going to be to add the board to my command station, connect up the transmit and receive wires, and see how we get on. Of course, I realise this is all getting a little bit maybe confusing, but having put together the USB to TTL adapter with the wires to the Makerfabs board, then, and having, as I said, made sure that that jumper from ground is on pin 4 when we plug into the PC, etc. We then are going to run the program that we downloaded, the Flash program that we downloaded earlier from the DCC-EX website. And the following is just a little bit of a run through of that, showing some examples. Now, I must admit, a lot of this information is probably going through very quickly on the video. And I would just say, well, go to the DCC-EX.com website. That's where you can find all the information. Hopefully this video at least been giving you a little bit of a steer in the right direction. So what I've got following now is just a little chat through the using the Flash program and how that worked. So having downloaded the Flash tool and the binary files from DCC-EX.com website, what we've got to do now is use them to update the firmware on the Makerfabs board. So start by obviously having unzipped and installed the Flash download tool. So I go to where it is, I open it. It will run in command mode. So I want the developer mode, and then it's the ESP8266 that I'm going to download. So I select that. Then you'll see I've already got information stored in here. So the binary file, where I downloaded that, I'd opened it, expanded it, and then what you do to get to load a file in, you basically click on the 3 dots here. You can then go and go through Finder and find where the firmware bin file is, and you'll see that it's got 4 basically files in there. The first one you want is the boot, so you'd select the boot one and open it, and you'd install it in there. And then you'd have the other ones in the order here. If you want to sort of pause the video and see what order I've got them in, that seems to work. Then what you've got to do is enter these addresses manually, and that's all. That is a 0, not an O. Capital O is a 0. So we type in 0x00000, that's the address, and then these other addresses are there. You can see the 1000, the 1FC000, the FE000, and the 1FE000. Then the other thing I've done is these sort of just set as normal, sort of the 32 megabit, the flash size, and other things. Then the other thing I could do is select the COM port. Now when I insert the USB adapter in, it actually comes up on COM port 4, so we put 4 in there. So now I haven't got the program already. What we're going to do is take the Makerfab board, and we are going to start by making sure that the pin 4 on the right, and I'll again go over this again, is ground to ground before we insert the USB adapter. So I haven't done that, so having put ground to pin 4 on there, we insert the adapter in and let it starts, and then hopefully if we just select start. Now this is not what I expected. Obviously I'd had hoped to see things, so let me just say OK there. And should I put in COM 4 there? Let's try that, see if that works. Start that. Nope, it's not working. Now I'm going to now sort of unhook the board again, and obviously I've not got things quite right in this, but also what I did find was there's another version of the download tool, which is version 2.3, and I think that is probably the one I should try using now, because this version I have heard reports of others. So the 2.3 version, again, there is a link on the DCC-EX.com website if you find the right page, which will point you to where you can download the tool version 2.3. I've already done that, so we'll go back to so here's the Flash tool number 3. I open the stored, so start that one up. Now, as you see, it's again got information loaded. It says COM4, and so I think looking at it, that all looks okay. Ah, now there you are. It looks like it's doing something. So it's a bit hit and miss in a way, I suppose, but you can see now that that is going through and loading up those binary files. You have to keep ground onto pin 4 on the Makerfabs while it's doing this. Do not let it go. If you let it go, then it all falls over and you have to start again. It's a bit of a hit and miss issue, but there we are. And it is going through. So I'm just showing a picture. Here's me on the left there holding the ground onto the pin 4. There's the USB converter in, and as you will see, it says it's closed. So that is the job complete as far as I know. I will now test it. I think it's fair to say, one thing to point out is you need to get, when you're connecting the USB converter or adapter rather through to the Makerfab boards, you have to get your wires right. You may not be able to see it, but can you see that bit of jumper wires, a slight bit of melted plastic? And that's because when I first did it, I connected that blue wire to the ground on the board rather than to the 5 volt, and therefore once I plugged that in, it all got very hot very quickly, and well, I was fortunate, I suppose, that it still works. So anyway, there we are. That's the version 2.3. Seems to work better than the newer version, and hopefully now my board has got the right software in it, the right firmware. I'll now check that. So having updated the firmware on my Makerfabs board, I've just got to put it onto the command station. So again, just we'll do the lineup, and sort of you can sort of hopefully see it goes fairly well in there. Oh no, you can probably see I've missed the pin there, so that's wrong. You need to go one over more. There we go. That's in there. And do it around here. Make sure it lines up. So make sure the pins all line up nicely, and then you can just ease it on like that. So there's my command station now with the Makerfabs board on, with hopefully the right firmware. What I'll do is now I'll plug this into the Mac. I'll run the X installer tool. I'll keep a track of that, and hopefully you'll see what I'm doing. And we'll hopefully then have a controller that will actually also connect to the Wi-Fi, because as I said, the Makerfab Wi-Fi Shield, they seem to now come with updated firmware which actually doesn't work with DCC-EX. I'm hoping at some stage maybe the DCC-EX folks will be able to update and resolve the problem in the DCC-EX firmware, rather than having to do this rather laborious updating of the Makerfab board itself. So having built our command station, I'm now going to use the Mac to download software. So having put together the 3 components of our DCC-EX command station, the Arduino board, the new DCC-EX Motor Shield, and now my updated Wi-Fi Shield, plug them into the Mac, and I'm going to run the EX installer tool on there to put in software again. But now, where before earlier in the video I did it just to make it a serial command station, I'm going to now put it in the software to allow it to know there is a Wi-Fi there, and I'll set it up to go on my Wi-Fi network. And that is the software loaded. Very simple, straightforward. So what I'll now do is, if I unplug the command station from the serial, there we have the command station, got all the software in. Now I said the nice advantage of this new board is you only need the one power supply into it, and it will drive the Arduino, the Motor Shield and the Wi-Fi Shield. So we will now plug it in and see if we can talk to it. Well, I wonder if anybody noticed the mistake I made. I'd put my Arduino, put the driver board onto the motor shield onto it, the Wi-Fi shield, but look, I forgot to connect the TX and RX from the Wi-Fi to the Arduino. So when I did the look for it, yes, I found the board was working, but it was not talking to the Arduino, so oh dear. So what I need to do is obviously connect from the RX and the TX down to the RX and the TX down on here on the boards. I'll then go through and load the software again just to make sure it's all right, because when you load the software, if you're using the EX installer, there is a device monitor that will show you if it is seeing the Wi-Fi chip or not. So we'll build this properly and then try and load it all again. Well, that was harder than it should have been, wasn't it? A lot of faffing about there to try and find the IP address of the board, but I eventually found it. So I've now got JMRI talking to it. So there we are. Finally, we have Makerfabs board updated to software that actually works with the DCC-EX command station, and I'm using the new DCC-EX Motor Shield, which I must admit, I started out this video just being a short showing how it would work. It took a lot longer than I expected, a lot of faffing about, but hopefully it gives you an overview of what you can do. I have a couple of these Makerfab boards, so I will probably go and update them now to the right firmware in case I want to use them elsewhere. But there we are, what was meant to be a short, simple video, a bit more complicated than I meant or expected, but hopefully somebody might find it useful. And if you do need any help or got any feedback, please just message me. As I said, if you want to know about the DCC-EX command station, the software, all they offer, there is their website, dccex.com, and there's lots of useful help there, but it can get a little bit convoluted, complicated. But in general, I find this and think this is a good alternative for a control or command station for my railroad, as it's not too expensive. But that doesn't mean I won't at some stage go for a fully blown manufactured control center, control station, partly because, let's be honest, this is open source software. There's a lot of help and a lot of stuff out there, but it's not an easy find necessarily. You can't just go to one source, or at least if you've bought a proper or bought a command station from someone else, you hopefully have a source of feedback. So there we are. As I said, I hope everyone's well. I'll be back again with another video at some stage. Bye.